in a fight from girls that can't get along with each other. That's not part of the law. Thou must go and beat each other up. God ain't never say that. He said you're supposed to treat each other as yourself. Right. You understand? That's in the law. So when you start treating somebody different that looks like you, that's another Israelite, God's chosen people, then you at a risk of judgment. All right? Let's get Revelation 1 and 3. But it's time to open up that book. Incense. You like it? Because why? It messes with demons. So you got a demon inside. Check me out. Look. No. People sit on this corner all day and smoke weed. You don't say none of that, do you? You read the Bible now. I live around here. You think I don't see you out here smoking weed and selling drugs? Call the cops. Right. They ain't coming out here for me. Niggas reading the Bible on the corner. Right. What sense that make? Somebody got shot on the SEPTA bus at 33rd Girard.
Search continues tonight. Philadelphia police are looking for a man they say opened fire inside a SEPTA bus and injured 4 people, including 3 teenagers.
Right. You think they're gonna come here and get us off the corner? You got your damn mind. Right. A damn 12-year-old got killed in West Oak Lane. You think the cops won't come and get us off the corner? Right.
Police are investigating the shooting death of a 12-year-old boy in West Oak Lane. It happened in a home on the 1500 block of East Pastoria Street around 12:30 this afternoon. Police say there were 2 others also in the home. They were making a music video at the time. We're told there was an adult downstairs as well.
Thanks to both sides. We know we doing this work. Right. And it's up out of this shit. Disgusting restaurant all day long. And you got a problem with what we saying. So you even got something coming to you. Right. Hold that. Right. Malachi. God. That might be 5%. You understand? Well, we are expressing our First Amendment rights. Right. Free speech. Free speech is free. We ain't gotta listen. You understand? But it bothers their spirit. Because they know they can sell shrimp, crab, lobster, cigarettes, blunts in here. Right. Keeping y'all in sin. Right. And they're gonna make money while the Most High God continues to judge us. While the let out in Overbrook, there's gonna be another fight. You weren't out here breaking up the fight. Was it? It's the book of Micah, chapter 5 and verse 15. And I will execute vengeance in anger and fury upon the heathen. What's God gonna do to these damn Chinese? And I will execute vengeance in anger and fury upon the heathen. Go ahead. Such as they have heard. Such as you have heard. You ain't gonna heard what the Most High God gonna do to them. Yes. So they're not really Chinese. Right. Moab wouldn't let us pass through in the wilderness, even out of ancient Egypt. Right. And God says, I'm going to pay him back for that. God don't forget nothing. All right? He can't repent from that. That's something the ancestors did thousands and thousands of years ago. That's why I said the only people that can repent is the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Right. All right? Right. Anybody don't like that smell, that means you got a damn demon inside. Right. All right? So you, instead of having an angel and a devil on your shoulder, you got 2 devils. What you say, what does the Pharisees say? Sorry. Sorry, cop rolled by. My bad. Go ahead. Anyway.
Loud and direct, man.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Let's go back to Tom. Revelation 1. Tom. Now, regular schedule post. Right. Well, that's your statement. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 3. Blessed he that readeth, and they that hear the words of his prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. The time is at hand. Right. I'm not worried about going to hell. I'm not worried about getting stopped in the last place. I'm trying to keep this thing going. I'm trying to keep this thing going. Right. It is what it is at this point. Brothers, it's lucky we made it this far. But now they say, blessed. Blessed by the best. By a black man in the sky. With his son. So they look like you. He had woolly hair. He had his feet, the color of brass as it burned in a furnace. They look like that Moabite, that Chinese guy that came out here. Wow. He look like that white, stringy hair, lice-infected homosexual that they said is Jesus. No. He looks like y'all. Right. Black people, you gotta wake up. Right. Come on, brother. The first off, we're not black. That infinity's black. Right. My boots are black. Right. Three different shades of brown. We are made in the image and likeness of the Most High God, His Son, and the angels. Ain't no damn Gerber baby angels. Right. It ain't no stringy hair, homosexual Jesus. He was, they said in the scriptures, the austere man. Meaning it was hard. He will put hands and feet on you if you not doing what you're supposed to do. In fact, it's definitely big. Go ahead, bring out your. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 8, and verse 3 and 4. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints. What was he given? That he should offer it with the prayers of all saints. And there was given unto him much incense. What incense? When we smell here, it's called frankincense and myrrh. Right. Keep the damn demons away. Right.
Yeah, all praises. All right, that was one day in front of the Chinese store, right in front of Overbrook High School. That is the school of Wilt Chamberlain and Will Smith, Walt Chamberlain, sorry, Will Smith, and they had a fight out there, and the girl called her dad up there to, I don't know, shoot somebody because he brought a gun, and he ended up shooting a cop. So we went out there and pulled up there, and Moab comes out, and you're not, no incense. Yeah, all right, Moab. So we threw curses up on Moab. I have no idea what's going on with that Moabite at that particular Chinese store, but the Chinese store not too far from me got shot up twice within like a week. So, yeah. So curses on Moab, period. So here we go. Welcome to another edition of the Wednesday Wake Up Call. I am your host, Kasadia. First, let me give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Mashiach, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai being the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Home Yashal, arise, Israel. Double honors to our elders, paving the way, breaking down these scriptures, fighting demons on a daily basis, and holding things down, okay? We're going to get started. Hopefully all is well. A lot happened this week, and can't talk about it all. You know what I mean? So we're going to get started. This class is called Gross Darkness, all right? Gross Darkness. So we're going to start with Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 1. A lot of the world is in gross darkness, but people are coming to the light coming back to the law, statutes, and commandments, coming back to their true nationality. Esau, the heathens, and other nations still, you know, they'll get it eventually, but, you know, right now they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off. But let's get Isaiah chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. Verse 2. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Shem Mashiach Yahushai. Let's get Genesis 19 and 20 on deck. Something crazy happened, okay? Crazy. See if you can feel me on this. Brothers went to Memphis, you know what I'm saying? Memphis in May. You know, Yeshaya with the fire was holding it down, the excellent host to the brothers coming in there, reading the scriptures on Beale Street, fighting demons. And while that was happening, something crazy happened. I mean, Looney Tunes, okay? Tell me if you can feel me on this. Okay, but first, before I go any further, have to say Fair Use Act, Fair Use Act. This video is protected by the Fair Use Act. This is for educational purposes only, thus being protected by the Fair Use Act. Check out this video, man. Let me know what you think. Okay, so what happened was, it is a brother in HOI that every time he leaves, wherever he goes, he travels, he goes to different places, different states, state to state, different countries. I don't think he's allowed back in the UK. You know what I'm saying? Like Paul, you know what I mean? Causing riots and such, you know, with the word, not anything physical, no Molotov cocktails. It's the word of God. But it seems like every time he goes somewhere, something crazy happens in Chicago. To the point where I'm thinking, I gotta get the mayor on the phone. Like, you want this guy to, if you don't want anything crazy to happen in your city, you might have to pay the man. You know what I'm saying? Cash app him $1 million to stay. Of course, he's not gonna take it, but it's just, wishful thinking. So he left, went down to Memphis, and I knew something was gonna happen. What? I don't know. Sometimes it's mass shootings, sometimes it's tornadoes. It varies. The Most High is, giving signs that this brother is extremely powerful, And he left this time, and something that never happened before happened. And I don't want to talk about it. Let's just watch.
To the loop, you could barely see the skyline.
And that dust came up.
A major dust storm blowing through the Chicago area tonight. It is the first time a dust storm warning has been issued in the city. Now, time-lapse video showing that it is coming into the loop. You could barely see the skyline.
And that dust came up from central Illinois, and video from Bloomington shows the dust coming over these homes. And this is what it looked like by the time it reached New Lenox around 6:15. We were live on the air. Now look at this. Looking live at the Riverwalk downtown, things have cleared up. But when that dust hit, it created some dangerous conditions.
Calm after the storm. We have live team coverage for you on this Friday night, starting with meteorologist Cheryl Scott, with the high winds that brought the dust starting to calm down tonight.
Yes, thankfully we're clearing it all out, but a rare, unprecedented meteorological event that we tracked today.
Yeah.
In fact, this dust...
Rare, unprecedented. First time ever in the city of Chicago. Can you imagine? You're in a metropolitan area, right? I went to Chicago before. It looks like any other city, all skyscrapers. It's a city. Where in the world did this dust come from? They're saying, okay, so the dust came from this direction and the wind blew. Doesn't happen every day. But it happened that day. It happened when he left to go to Memphis. This is Arya. He, every time he goes anywhere, something happens. You know what I'm saying? And I know other brothers can see this. It's not something we can hide anymore, okay? This brother is anointed prophet of the Most High God. He'll say, I'm a servant. Well, the servants are the prophets, right? Prophets are servants. Kind of interchangeable. First time ever. Let's get Genesis 19 and 20. Behold, now this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape hither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. And he said, it's the angel, and he said unto him, see, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow the city for which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape hither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come hither. Therefore, the name of the city is called Zoar. This brother leave this country, I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? The mighty brothers of HOI Chicago. If you don't know them, you need to get to know them. If you're not subscribed to their channel, you need to subscribe to their channel. And, you know, a blessing from this brother, you know, Yahweh Shemel Shabrak, a thumb, is powerful, okay? You know, cash app them, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Give them gold, you know? Give them silver. What else is there? Bitcoin, you know, something. XRP, Ethereum, you know, send them something, man. This brother's doing mighty works, you know? And you should keep them happy. You know what I'm saying? You should keep them happy. Anybody it happens every time though. Do you know what I'm saying? It's something that I've noticed years before, and it continues to happen. Okay. The world is in gross darkness. You know, there's brothers out here doing amazing things, amazing works. The brothers in HY Chicago can vouch for this brother. You know what I mean? Not only is he the captain of HY Chicago, he's the captain of HOI Midwest. He is the captain of HOI. Do you know what I'm saying? Getting things in order, getting things together. You know, very humble. You know, then try to exalt himself at all. You know, doesn't call himself an elder. I'm an elder. No, he's very respectful. You know what I'm saying? You know, aims to live a righteous life. You know what I mean? So, you know, he gives his double honors to the elders in HOI, Elder Zabak, you know, Elder Torah, you know, and the senior men, you know. So just know that there are some powerful people walking this earth that look just like me and you would never know. Who would think that as soon as he left, a dust storm would happen? I didn't think that. That wasn't on my bingo card. You know, next time he leaves, a sinkhole might open up on their city hall. But something to look at, something to pay attention to. All right. You got eyes to see, ears to hear, listen up, pay attention. Okay. Let's go to Luke 8. Let's go to Luke chapter 10. You know, hey, I'm just happy to be here. You know what I mean? You know, and then before anybody gets you know, you're not I'll say Esau. You know how Jake is. Oh, well, you man pleasing and all that. Nah, you got to give brothers their flowers while they're here and let it be known. You see something, say something. Then that way Esau says, you see something, say something. Brother done left and caused a daggone sandstorm. You know what I mean? Them brothers in Chicago, powerful. Trust and believe. Okay. Let's go to Luke chapter 10, and we're going to start verse 8. And into whatever city ye enter, and they receive you, eat such things as are set before you, you know? To treat this brother good. He come into your neighborhood, you treat him good, give him a gift. That's what I do. You know, give him a gift. He come in your neighborhood, give him a gift. All right. Verse 9. And heal the sick that are therein, and say unto them, the kingdom of God is come nigh unto you. But into whatsoever city ye enter, and they receive you not, go your ways out into the streets on the same, and say, even the very dust of your city which cleaveth unto us, we do wipe off against you. Notwithstanding, be ye sure of this, that the kingdom of God is come nigh unto you. When things like this happen, you gotta understand the kingdom is near, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Kingdom's not coming with observation. Brothers is doing amazing works and just keep on moving like nothing happened. I'm gonna talk about it. You know what I mean? People go about their business, going the next day. I'm gonna talk about it, okay? Because we see the Most High is building men up, and a lot of men are going in the right direction at the right time. If you find yourself slipping at this time, I advise a fast. I advise that you, focus in on reading the scriptures and, get them demons off you so you can also be going in the right direction at this important time period. It's very important. Israel said, it was a report from, the United States saying that Israel plans on attacking an Iranian nuclear facility. Been talking about it for a while, but it seemed like a secret document that just came out that this is what they're going to do. Netanyahu made the decision. So we're in World War III implications because Russia is now interwoven, if you will, with Iran. So if you strike Iran, you strike Russia. World War III. It's time to get right, y'all. Where we're at? Verse 12. But I say unto you that, Asaki, but I say unto you that it shall be more tolerable in that day for Sodom than for that city. He left and the dust showed up. Let's get Nahum chapter 1, verse 3. Because dust is all throughout the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? When you see a dust storm go through I can't imagine being in Philadelphia, look outside and seeing nothing but dust. And what people were talking about, where it's getting in their eyes. I'm sure it is. When the last time you see the dust storm? This ain't Arizona. This ain't the Dust Bowl. Was that Kansas or something like that? This ain't none of that. This ain't the Middle East. This isn't Saudi Arabia. That's what happens there. That happened in Chicago, a major metropolitan city, a major metropolitan. I'm just baffled. I'm sorry. I'm at a loss for words, but just know that the Most High God is making moves on this earth, and He's uplifting people right before our very eyes. So pay attention. All right. So this is the book of Nahum. This is the book of Nahum, chapter 1 and verse 3. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all quit the wicked. The Lord have his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet, which the Most High dusted off his feet, and that was the dust storm. I mean, yeah. Judgment's coming. Let's continue on with the video.
Dust storm today. The last time Chicago experienced a dust storm like this one was back in 1934 on May 10th, and that was during the Dust Bowl that impacted so.
Now, wait a minute. He said it never happened before. She's saying it happened in 34. I don't know. Either way, I wasn't around in 1934 to see it.
So many across the plain. So really interesting. And a lot of you might be asking, why? How did that happen? Well, we had a lot of ingredients come together in just a matter of minutes. So we take a look at satellite and radar. We had some strong storms just off to the south of us. There you can see the complex of rain and storms, and that really helped kick up the winds just downstate in parts of central Illinois. We had high gusty winds up to about 50, 60 miles per hour. Drier air moving in today, and the lack of rainfall this month all coming together and allowing for the open fields, that dust to be picked up up by the winds and transported all the way up into parts of northern Illinois and downtown Chicago. In fact, that dust and that dirt traveled over 100 miles today. Rare, unprecedented.
What? 100 miles to Chicago. As the brothers in HY Chicago are in Memphis. Yeah, somebody need to cash app these brothers, man. I'm just saying, you gotta keep them happy, man. They ain't happy, man. Then, they might not even want cash. They might want gold, and why not? You know what I'm saying? When things like this start happening, you might want to, pay attention to how things go down, if you will. Let's continue.
We are seeing things improve out there now, cooling conditions as we head into the day tomorrow. We'll talk about these winds and when they back off coming up in a few minutes.
All right, that's enough out of you. Gross darkness. It was literally gross darkness in Chicago. I think every gangbanger in Chicago needs to put their flags down. I don't say put your guns away because, you got an enemy and he's coming after you. But it ain't the Crips, it ain't the Bloods, it ain't the GDs, it ain't the Latin Kings, man. Nah, man, it ain't them, man. It's Esau, man. Came here, they bought your ancestors on slave ships, man. And the Bible says that's your enemy. You can see if you're paying attention that that's your enemy. Trump said, "Oh, South Africans, come on in. Sudanese, you gotta go." Now, we ain't, riding out for the Sudanese or anything like that, but you gotta pay attention to that. Like, he kicked out the darkies and brought in the whiteys. It's time to wake up out of your slumber, man. All right? Chicago, gangbangers, get it together. Wake up. Slap yourself. All right? A lot of stuff going on. Pay attention. All right, so that is our top story in gross darkness. Let's go to chariot news. What's going on with the chariots? Let's go to Sirach 43 and verse 4. It's pretty crazy. Okay, we're in a bizarro world. We talked about this last week. You want to see weird things, and weird things are going to happen. Guess what? This is another weird thing. There's beams coming down from the sky. Literally. Okay. Let's get Sirach chapter 43, verse 4. A man blow a furnace is in works of heat, but the sun burneth the mountains 3 times more, breathing out fiery vapors and sending forth bright beams. It dimmeth the eyes. So you want to see a sunbeam? A sun exploded and a beam came out? Listen. I don't profess to know it all. I'm just seeing what the Most High is displaying and thinking we're in the last days.
Welcome back for another video. I want to revisit the action that occurred in the sky the other night, less than 36 hours ago during the surprise geomagnetic storm. I've received brand new video footage and photos of this mysterious huge white streak that was spotted in the nighttime sky from various locations, from Tucson, Arizona, all the way up to central Alberta, Canada. Well, here's what's up. When this thing first was spotted, it was being described as possibly a version of Steve that sometimes appears during geomagnetic storms. And Steve is a red ribbon that kind of meanders around in the sky or just hangs around, doesn't even really move. And I didn't think that looked like Steve. Now it's being reported that this is a re-entry of a rocket, a Chinese rocket. But again, this thing looks like, to me, it's way too big. It almost looks like it's going past the Earth. And if you look at rocket re-entries from the past, sometimes they look like this, and then other times they resemble a spiral in the sky, not necessarily leaving a long, dramatic streak in the sky that appeared to span for possibly thousands of miles. They look something like this right here. So what really happened the other night in the sky during the surprise geomagnetic storm? I think Earth had a surprise visitor. I want to share with you guys the new footage that was shared with me just today. First video is out of Boulder Valley, Montana, sent in by Hunt 1803 on X and YouTube. It's a time lapse of the sky during the geomagnetic storm from Montana. Here we go. Check this out. You're going to see that big streak of light right there that appears to be moving very quickly, but this again is a time lapse, so it probably wasn't moving that fast, and it doesn't look anything like what we've seen in the past. And these happened just a few months ago. We see these spirals in the sky from time to time, and we're told that they're rocket re-entries. Here's another view from the same location, slowed down just a little bit. You don't see anything in the front at all. It's just this long, mysterious white streak in the sky that's being described as hanging around for maybe 15, 20 minutes and then disappearing. But if you watch close, it looks like whatever it was goes right on past the Earth. I think the Earth may have had a visitor, a surprise geomagnetic storm with a surprise visitor. That's what I.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Let's go to Daniel chapter 6 and verse 27. Matter of fact, let's start 26. Daniel chapter 6 and verse 26. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. Verse 27. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in the heaven and in the earth, who have delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. Signs and wonders.
Think happened on the night of the 16th, right around midnight. And again, this footage here is out of Montana. I've received more footage from Canada, and I've received more footage from here in the United States. And here's an even slower view right here. Check it out. And again, this is over the course of several hours. This thing just kind of appeared in the upper atmosphere, hung around for a little bit, and then disappeared. Didn't look anything like a typical rocket launch re-entry. And the person that shared this excellent video, Hunt 1803, they also weren't convinced that this was from a rocket. I think we had a surprise visitor that showed up with the surprise storm. And here's some more stunning images from that night. The first photos are out of Flagstaff, Arizona, sent in by Dina Morales. Check that out. Unbelievable. What a sky spectacle. That doesn't look anything like a rocket re-entry. It really doesn't, at least not what we're used to seeing. Some sort of a mysterious, huge mysterious streak of white light. Almost looks like the tail of a comet. You know, it looks like it was moving very, very fast. Didn't look like a typical rocket re-entry that we're used to seeing. Going from Flagstaff back up to Canada, Edmonton, Alberta. More photos from the Edmonton region by Matt Christie, who also happened to capture the giant white streak in the nighttime sky during the mysterious geomagnetic storm that arrived unexpectedly, much like the big white streak in the sky. Darren out of Winford, Alberta. A couple of excellent photos of the auroras and the mysterious white streak in the sky. Check that thing out. Unbelievable. Super long, super bright, and at a super high altitude. Mike Robinson out of St. Paul up in Alberta. There it is again from a slightly different perspective. British Columbia, Rick. There it is again, flying through, possibly above the auroras at a very high altitude. Tucson, Arizona, you could barely see it down here. Fish Tucson sent in this photo. There it is right there. I had to lighten that up just a little bit. Matt out of Tucson also saw it in the nighttime sky. Looks like a distant comet way off in the nighttime sky. But whatever it was as mysterious as the mysterious geomagnetic storm. And speaking of storms, there.
All right, so that is the Chariot news. What in the world was that? Okay, you seen something like that, you think it's the end. You know, waiting for the trumpets. Yeah, how was shot coming back, right? So that is our Chariot news. Okay. Now let's go to our storm and earthquake segment. All right, let's hit up Acts chapter 7 and verse 48. All right. So let's get Acts chapter 7 and verse 48. Howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. All right, so something happened in St. Louis, right? Another major metropolitan city, and a tornado went through it. It was 8 miles long. It went 8 miles through the city. You know, normally it's like Kansas and all these open fields and this, that, and the third. It went through a city, predominantly a black city, if I'm not mistaken, St. Louis, and also very violent. Very violent. You know, St. Louis is known to be a very violent place. The elder told a story regarding how when he went there, and the person at the front desk of the hotel saying, "Look, do yourself a favor, just don't look at anybody." You know what I mean? Don't make eye contact. Okay, you're in a very dangerous place right now. A lot of gang activity. You got Sexy Red over there, just being an industry plant. St. Louis. All right, Nelly getting caught with ecstasy, and then 5 minutes later, he's performing for the president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. All right, 34 felony Trump. So St. Louis got issues, you know, and the Most High judged this place, judged that city, and judged this woman that went into a church for shelter. The guy wasn't in that church, you know. You know what's in that church? That's the last thing she did, was going to that church. Let's get second Ezra. No, not second. Get Ezra, which is in the Old Testament, chapter 6 and verse 11. And let's watch this video.
More about the person who died in a church collapse this afternoon. Family confirming with First Alert 4, Patricia Pendleton lost her life while sheltering from the tornado. She was inside Centennial Christian Church in North St. Louis when it partially collapsed. Our David Emilati spoke to Pendleton's family.
I got to speak with Pat's husband, Harry, who spoke with so much love and pain. He says that they were just a couple of months away from celebrating 56 years of marriage. He says his wife did everything at Centennial Christian Church except sleep. The church, after the storm, the roof caved in, the door blown out. The steeple was actually twice its height, but now it's just rubble here on the front lawn. The people here that I spoke with this afternoon simply are devastated, saying there was no one else like Pat.
Amazing servant of God in His church.
That's Reverend Derek Perkins, stunned, speaking on camera to First Alert 4 on behalf of Patricia Pendleton's family.
Right now, we're just sad. Our hearts are broken about all of this.
She was one of the first people that I met in service here.
Ward 10 Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard attends Centennial Christian and says losing Pat in the church collapse is devastating.
She gave selflessly. It wasn't about, look at me, I'm doing this. It wasn't about, make sure you note that I'm doing this. Everything she did, you could tell was from her heart.
We were there as first responders rushed supplies to the injured in the partial church collapse, while others worked to clear fallen beams and rubble to reach those trapped inside. Another loss for this Fountain Park community is the destruction of the church. It stood at the corner of Auburn and Fountain for more than 121 years.
This community always rides together, and the church is a critical piece in this community.
Harry tells me that his wife was here at church as early as 11 a.m. on Friday, getting ready to serve lunches. They served dozens of meals a day for folks who needed a meal before the storms rolled in. The damage, as you can see, is extensive. It's unclear how long it's going to take to clean up all of this. But what I am told by one of the members of this congregation is that this church will continue in some form, no matter what. Outside Centennial Christian Church, David Emilati, First Alert 4.
So Christianity is not the way, man. And you know, getting hit in the head with a piece of the church that you're always in, is that adds this to the spirituality of the Most High God is not playing with anybody. Like we said earlier, with the Chicago dust storm, sandstorm, seems like the Most High God has wiped off the dust of his feet. We got to get right, like right now, okay? Ezra chapter 6, verse 11. Also, I have made a decree that whosoever shall alter this word, let timber be pulled down from his house, and being set up, let him be hanged thereon, and let his house be made a dunghill for this. How do they alter the word? Everybody can be saved. That's the Christian way, right? Everybody. God loves everybody. Come on in. Everybody can be saved, even though obviously in the book it doesn't say that. You know what I mean? In Revelation 21, it talks about who's getting into heaven, you know? 12 tribes of Israel. I don't see anything that says spiritual Israel. Don't see anything that says Esau or Moab or any other nation. So Christianity alters the word of God. And as you see, the Most High God judged that sister and that church. So those are the tornadoes, from our storm and earthquake segment. Earthquakes all over the place, but I don't have enough time to go all down the line of these earthquakes. There's about to be an eruption on the west coast of the United States of an underground volcano. What would that look like? Is that going to cause a tsunami? Is that going to cause a dust plume to go up in the sky? Like I believe it was in Tonga over there near New Zealand, where the sky went black. People couldn't see anything. It was so loud they couldn't hear, and it was the middle of the day. That could happen on the west coast of the United States. That's why repentance daily, hourly, minutely is very necessary. Okay. But let's continue. Let's get the international news. Okay, that's St. Louis. Let's get into the international segment. We talked about the blackouts. There's blackouts in Puerto Rico, Cuba, Venezuela, London, Spain, Portugal, Macedonia, Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. Okay. There's been blackouts pretty much, I would say worldwide. Some people don't really talk about the blackouts as much. I don't know if China will let people know that they have blackouts and things of that nature, but that's pretty much geographically, it's all over the place. Okay. And we talked about this. We said, what happens during these blackouts? And we read Wisdom of Solomon, the 17th chapter, which we're going to go to now. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verse 4. Right? And when things happen, when your lights go out and you ain't, you paid your bill, right? And your lights just go out. You might get a text message from whatever, your electric company. Oh, the lights in your area went out. We're looking into this. Should be on by 3 a.m. or whatever, right? There's usually another reason why that happened. You might say it's all electrical, something happened at the transformer blew or whatever. But the Most High will shut off your lights. And when that happens, either you're going to be surrounded by angels or you'll be surrounded by demons. And it's either going to be one or the other. You know what I mean? And once it happens, you can pray all you want. The Most High might have made his mind up already. I'm not saying speaking for the Most High, but once judgment takes place, he usually finishes it out. Okay. Like it says, in the end, it's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth. People are going to be crying. People are going to be wailing. But that's not going to stop the judgment. Okay. So let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17 and verse 4. And I'm going to get this in the GNT as well, if you bear with me. Well, first, let's get in King James. For neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear, but noises, as of waters, falling down sounded about them, and said visions appeared unto them with heavy countenance. So let's get that in the let's get that in the GNT. Okay. And we're going to read verse 4. Not even the dark corners where they lay could protect them from fear. They were surrounded by horrible noises. Grim ghosts with gloomy faces appeared before their eyes. And that is exactly what happened when the lights went out in Spain and Portugal. How do I know that? It's on video. All praise to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Prove all things. These blackouts aren't just blackouts. And the things that happen after these blackouts, you can only imagine.
Kid's voice was heard outside, as if they had nowhere else to go now. Although an interesting thought, it isn't certain.
Here we go.
Now, this next video takes place at a hotel in Spain, where a group of friends had taken an elevator that for some reason wouldn't take them to their floor.
Okay, so it's been doing this for a minute. And there's nothing out there. You needed that gym. You wanna figure it out? No, that did something. That did something. What is going on? Are we ready? Is there someone there?
Although pretty creepy, it could be that the elevator was simply malfunctioning and therefore unable to move. However, this occurrence wouldn't be so creepy if it weren't for the fact that other hotel guests have reported the same problem when taking this elevator. It's a common occurrence, according to hotel staff, and they're not sure why this happens. The 16th floor is still under construction, meaning that no guests are staying there at the moment, so it doesn't make sense as to why it does this. But fast forward to only a day or two later, and this happens.
Yo, so this elevator is acting mad weird. We started a few floors up and
The elevator suddenly stops working. As it turns out, there had been a power outage affecting most parts of Spain and Portugal, and it just so happens that the group of friends were taking this elevator when it happened.
the backup, yeah, there you go. The backup generator's been coming on and off. We've been having the time of our lives. And yeah, we're like cooking alive.
Now, thankfully, while being stuck inside, the backup generator kicks in, but it's not working as it should, as the lights continue to go on and off randomly. But as all three friends have fun with the flashing lights, this happens.
There you go. Oh, always cooking something. Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta pee. You gotta pee. It's making my bladder. I gotta pee.
You gotta pee.
I feel like the bathroom. No, I gotta pee. I'm holding my bladder.
Yeah.
I gotta pee. I don't know what else is going on. I gotta pee. It's making me mad. I like so. Like Bowser.
Guys, this is probably the worst.
In the corner of the elevator, a dark silhouette is seen right behind one of the friends. It's small, but clear enough to see that something out of place is there. Neither friend had realized what this was, but after watching this footage, they can't help but think that something otherworldly had been inside the elevator. Now, thankfully, after some time, the group was able to escape, but not in the way that they imagined.
We're moving. Oh. Fine. Where we go?
Wait. Stop. No. No.
That's the same one as before.
No.
All right.
They were brought up to the 16th floor after being stuck inside for about an hour and a half. Just like before, no one had called it. Although definitely strange, they would much rather be on this floor than inside the broken elevator for obvious reasons. But the question still remains, just who called it up? And most importantly, just what exactly had been inside the elevator? To this day, the friends have no clue, but they're just glad that things didn't take a turn for the worse while being trapped inside. Ghosts or not, this video is pretty strange.
Esau wants to be a rapper. I'm gonna pee. Yeah, I mean, and of course, every rapping about is just vulgar, right? But they try to be like Jake, and then Most High turned the lights off, and a black mass was growing in the corner of the elevator. So I'm almost certain that their lives have taken a dramatic turn at this point. You know what I'm saying? You can smile all you want, but from this point on, it's all downhill. All praise and honor to Yahweh Bashem Mashiach Yahushai. Beautiful. Let's continue. All right, we're going to go to Trump talk. You know what I'm saying? Donald J. Trump. I could talk we could talk for hours about Donald J. Trump. We could talk about his, you know, what he's doing with, you know, bringing in the South Africans that are being oppressed in Africa, the whites that are being oppressed in Africa. You are in Africa, okay? So the colonizers there just decided to stay. You know what I mean? Every other one's the French and, you know, English. They just went and set up their shop, and puppet governments made them, you know, accept their money, and um bringing in a bunch of um what's the word? You know, stealing their resources, their gold and everything like that. And you know, pretty much just taking over, right? But in South Africa, they decided to stay. All right. But let's get Revelation 18, verse 15. But in Sudan, they said you got to go back. You black, get back. You know, they're ham, scram. You know what I'm saying? But we see where this is going. Okay, making America great again, making America a little bit light, a little bit of white, right? Because they're falling apart. Their numbers aren't jiving. You know what I'm saying? Their women aren't having children. Their men are, you know, how you doing, as Wendy Williams puts it, and you know, stuck on the white horse or whatever drug the choice they pick, and they're not having children. You know, so they're dying off faster than they're reproducing. So you got Elon Musk saying, y'all gotta have babies. Like, you know, talk about giving 5,000 a piece just to have a baby or whatever, right? But you know, they're falling apart. Okay. Now let's fast forward to the economy. How's everything going? Not doing too good, right? They got these tariffs, and Donald J. Trump told Walmart, you gotta eat that. Walmart's like, eat what? I'm a billionaire for a reason. The Waltons are billionaires for a reason, not because they give away money. They won't even let people have overtime or benefits. You know what I'm saying? So nice little like we talked about before with the Billionaire Brawls Club, starting up again. Now it's Donald Trump versus the Waltons. Let's get that. Revelation 18, verse 15. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing.
If you forget projections, numbers, what's your hunch? Is the U.S. going to go into recession or not?
Look, I'm going to defer to economists who give it about a 50% chance. I think all these things are probably inflationary a little bit more and slowing down the economy. If there's a recession, I don't know how big it'll be or how long it'll last. Hopefully we'll avoid it, but I wouldn't take it off the table at this point.
Not taking it off the table. Hi again, everybody. It's now 5 o'clock in New York. No need to get your ears checked. You heard that right. A recession is very much on the table, according to JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon. Of course, it's one thing to predict economic pain, but to see it start to happen to real people, that's another thing entirely, and the part of the story we've been watching for closely. Today, a toxic tangle of tariffs, volatility, and supply chain issues, among other things, is making the self-inflicted economic crisis exponentially more real and tangible for Americans from coast to coast, up and down the economic spectrum. We've spoken at length about what will happen to small business owners and smaller retailers in the days and weeks to come. But what about the big ones, like the biggest? Walmart is as big as they come, as in our nation's largest private sector employer and the world's largest retailer. Put 10 Americans in a room and 9 of them would live within 10 miles of a Walmart. Well, this afternoon, it appears that Goliath, Walmart, will begin the process of raising costs of goods on consumers, even after this week's new China trade deal. During the company's quarterly earnings call, CEO Doug McMillon suggested this, quote, given the magnitude of the tariffs, even at the reduced levels announced this week, we are not able to absorb all the pressure, given the reality of narrow retail margins. Shortly after that, Walmart CFO John David Rainey emphasized that earnings are still strong, but then he added this.
Our goal, though, we're wired to keep prices low for customers. But the level of tariffs that have been proposed is pretty challenging for all retailers, for suppliers, and certainly our concern is that consumers are going to feel some of that. So we're going to keep prices as low as we can for as long as we can for our customers and members.
Those tariff-related price hikes, according to him, to Rainey, could start toward the end of this month. It is a game-changing economic and political development, according to Neil Saunders, managing director at retail consultancy Global Data. Quote, if Walmart's coming out with its scale and its buying power and its focus and saying that prices are going to rise, everyone else is going to have to follow suit. Walmart is firing the starting gun on a period of price increases. And so we'll return to where we began, that a recession in this country is, quote, not off the table, end quote. It's where we start the hour with some of our favorite reporters and friends. CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman is back. Also joining our conversation, David Frum, staff writer for The Atlantic, host of the new video podcast, The David Frum Show. And with me at the table for the hour, former Democratic Senator, MSNBC political analyst, our friend Claire McCaskill. Steve, I start with you.
Well, I think the way to think about it, Nicole, is that if you think about a hurricane approaching, all right, well, the hurricane's a bit smaller than it was before, and that metaphor kind of gets to the idea that the tariffs on China are lower, but it's still a hurricane. And so what we're seeing right now are kind of those first clouds that come across. And we saw those clouds in a bunch of places. The Walmart thing you mentioned is out there. Recession chances and probabilities for many of the economists I'm talking to are lower, but still considerably elevated. Think about 15% probability being about a normal distribution for the chance of a recession in any given year. Well, now they're still in the 40 to 50% range. They're not in 60%, but they're still relatively elevated. We saw a very interesting development in the wholesale price report, not to get too in the weeds, but it looks like the first inclination of the people importing products into the United States was to take it on the chin in profits. And then if you read between the lines of what the gentleman from Walmart was saying, he's saying, okay, we absorbed some of the prices, but we can't do all of it and we won't do all of it. So these price hikes are coming as in the rest of the hurricane is going to come this way, at least to some extent. Does it mean empty shelves? Maybe not right away, but over time, we are certainly going to see the effects of these tariffs. You cannot increase tariffs this much. That is still at these lower levels. They're 5 times what they were before. You cannot do something like that and it have no effect on the consumer and on the retailers who are selling the stuff.
Steve, I like the hurricanes. I feel like we are in the eye right now where the live shots are always eerily quiet, but there are things swirling all around. I want to ask you, though, about a 30% tariff, because I know in our politics and when you cover the rule of law, when it's Trump, because he's such a Tyrannosaurus Rex in a China shop, there's a law of relativity through which he gets evaluated and examined. And I feel like this is happening in your area of expertise, that because the tariff started with China at 145%, everyone's like, well, 30 is a lot better than it used to be. But 30 is devastating for consumers. It's, as you've explained, it's a regressive tax on all consumer goods that come from China. 30% is also devastating on a small and medium-sized business owner, and the trade implications in terms of supply chain equally devastating. So take out where we started at 145 and just give me your analysis of what 30% tariffs on China means.
Well, you know, you said it very well, because there's this bit of a dichotomy going on in the stock market right now, which has come back on this relief that you're talking about. Hey, it's not 145%. We are not inevitably careening towards that recession. There's still perhaps some chance, again, that the storm perhaps passes us by, or only we get a glancing blow. But when economists and people at the Federal Reserve look at it, they're like, hey, This is still a 5-time increase in the tariff rate. So what does it mean? You think about somebody like Walmart, they have thousands of products to which to spread out the cost. And you may not see it all in one particular product. They may take a little bit of less profit in this product or a little more in that product. A smaller retailer, they can't do it. They don't pick up the phone and they don't call the White House and say, Mr. President, we have a problem here. No, they take it on the chin. We're already hearing stories of layoffs. The economy underlying it looks pretty good. The jobless claims numbers are in pretty good shape right now. That's why I say it's still coming our way. Is there still a chance to avoid it? It's an interesting question because on the one hand, the president provided some relief over the 90-day period. At the same time, he did to some businesses, more deadly thing of extending the period of uncertainty for 90 days. So this creates this problem where people are still standing still. We still hear CEOs saying, look, if you think about it, what is a retailer doing right now? A good retailer is desperately seeking for those perfect and beautiful and fabulous gifts that you're going to buy at Christmas. What are they instead doing right now? They're trying desperately to secure their existing supply chains for stuff they already have. So it's an incredible distraction for the individual retailer, and it's going to mean probably something that people will see come holiday season.
David Frum, you write about the 4 scams. Explain.
Well, the scams are the fake deal with China, which is no deal, the fake deal with Britain, which is no deal. But I want to pound home a point here as people watch this. Because why is the stock market up? The stock market is up because Wall Street has figured out Trump's tariffs, although bad for many people, are not going to be bad for them. Who are they bad for? I mean, this is where we have to understand what a tariff is. A tariff is a tax, but it's a special kind of tax, and it's special in 3 ways. First, it's a tax that can be imposed by the president at his whim. All other taxes imposed by Congress to represent the people, tariffs can be imposed by the president at his whim. It's a tax that can be exempted by the president at his whim. He can sell special favors. If you want to break in the corporate income tax, you have to get Congress to pass it. But if you want to break in the tariff, just ask the president, buy his meme coin, give him a check, he'll make a special favor for you. And last, it's a tariff that falls uniquely hardest on the poorest section of society. A tariff is a sales tax, but a sales tax that only falls on goods, not on services. It falls on the doll, not on the nanny that is hired to play with the doll. It falls on the towel, not on the swimming club. It falls on the doorknob, not on the doorman who operates the door. It falls on the poorest people in society. A 10 to 30% tariff isn't going to cause shortages, and it may not push the whole economy into recession. What it does do is it raises prices for working people, and it takes the burden of government and it moves it from people who are better positioned to pay onto the people least in position to pay. So you have to combine this tariff story with what the Republicans are doing in the House, where there's going to be giant tax cuts for everybody, financed in great part by these tariffs on low-income people. Last image. Think of a rich family and a poor family at dinner. The poor family, the table is tariffed. The chair is tariffed. The plate is tariffed. The knives and forks are tariffed. If they're eating pasta, the pasta comes from Canada. It's tariffed. Now the rich family, they go out to dinner. The most important to celebrate their new tax cut from Donald Trump. The most important cost at a restaurant is the rent, not tariffed. The second most important cost, the wage of the chef, the wage of the server, not tariffed. And the plates, they're tariffed, but they come from Italy. So they have a lower tariff than the plates that come from China. This is the most aggressive attempt to shift the cost of government from the rich to the poor that America has seen in the past century, maybe longer.
David Frum, what is the appropriate political response?
The appropriate political response is to discover the cause of free trade. There's been a lot of mealy-mouthedness from Democrats on this. Democrats have liked tariffs. Donald Trump, the most protectionist president since World War II. Joe Biden, second most protectionist president. A lot of Democrats say, I'm against these tariffs because they're dumb, but I'm for smart tariffs. The answer is to rediscover tariffs are a tax that falls heaviest on the poorest people. They're a tax that is the most dangerous tax because it's the most arbitrary tax. Tariffs are wrong. Free trade is right. And raise money. If you're going to raise money with a consumption tax, raise it on one that middle-class people pay by taxing services as well as goods, a VAT or a carbon tax. But don't make the people who are eating spaghetti on cheap chairs, on cheap tables, with cheap plates, with cheap knives, don't make them pay the cost of government all by themselves.
All right, Donald Trump putting all the weight on the poor man, right? And family, you know what I mean? So pretty much collapsing, you know what I'm saying? Uh, and that's our Trump Talk segment, okay? He just came back from the Middle Eastern tour, talking about, I got, he got his $400 million plane, which I think the Pentagon has approved. So they're getting a plane from Qatar, which said, last time he was president, saying that I don't think it was the last time he was president, actually. I think it was during Joe Biden's presidency. He came out and said the president of Qatar is harbors terrorists because the Hamas, the people in Hamas that did the October 7th slaying of the Revelation 2 and 9ers went in Qatar afterwards, and he was safe there. So now, all you had to do was give him a $400 million plane, and now, they're best friends. So, we do have a king. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's leaving the office anytime soon until Yahushua kicks him out. You know what I mean? All right, so let's continue on. We're gonna get to the domestic violence segment of the program. And not talking about domestic violence, women beating up men, men beating up women, nothing like that. This is Esau. Domestic violence on Esau. So a bunch of, what do they call it, influencers were on a yacht. I think it was like a Lamborghini yacht. It looked nice. And they were having a good time. Louis Vuitton bags and Mac computers and, iPhone 35s, whatever they got. They're having a good time. You know what I mean? Check me out. Check me out. And then the Most High sank the ship. Let's get Job chapter 20, verse 19. I've been meaning to talk about this, but so much stuff to go over. You know what I mean? So I saved it for now. All right, Job chapter 20 and verse 19. Because he hath oppressed and have forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he builded not, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. All right. So, they didn't get me an invite. How come I wasn't invited to the Lamborghini yacht party? You know what I'm saying? They need to start bringing some Israelites on these, planes and trains and automobiles and boats. And maybe they weren't sink and crash and burn, I don't think I would have went anyway, but still, it'd been nice to get an invite.
One moment, this was what appeared to be a classic Miami pleasure cruise. A luxurious boat deck packed just off the coast of Miami Beach. But the weekend joyride in Florida's Biscayne Bay quickly turned into a dangerous situation.
Vessel taking out of the water.
What appears to be a 63-foot-long Lamborghini yacht started to sink. The surreal scene captured on camera from multiple angles.
Could you imagine? Dude, no way.
The U.S. Coast Guard says 32 people were rescued. You can see some stranded boaters wearing life jackets. Nearby vessels and emergency responders swarming within minutes, helping passengers to safety.
We were able to get on scene and thankfully get all these people, these 32 individuals, off this vessel taking on water, and with no medical concerns reported.
Some managing to save what looked like high-value goods, including possibly a Louis Vuitton patterned purse and a laptop.
Well, you buy your computer?
Some even poking fun as the ordeal unfolded.
Iceberg!
Coast Guard says the incident happened near Monument Island, a small strip of land between mainland Miami and Miami Beach. The area popular for ritzy yachting and near the exclusive Star Island, home to sprawling estates owned by the likes of Jennifer Lopez. The cause of the incident still unclear, but the Coast Guard confirms the yacht has been prevented from fully sinking.
We were able to put airbags on it and remove it from the channel so it would not be a hazard to navigation.
Whether that multi-million-dollar boat will ever sail again, also unclear, as the Coast Guard says its owner is still working with commercial salvage to determine what to do next.
And Jesse Kirsch joins us now from Miami. Kind of wild, Jesse, to see people laughing while the Coast Guard is trying to rescue them. In your report, you mentioned there were 32 people rescued from that boat. Is that how many were on it? And it seems like that is a lot just for the size of that boat. Do we know if this was overcrowded?
Yeah, Ellison, there have been some reports leading to some questions around the capacity of this boat. We have reached out to authorities on this to find out what the official maximum capacity of that boat should be, but we have not yet heard back from the lead investigative agency on this. Ellison.
NBC's Jesse Kirsch reporting.
Yeah, so when we look at things like that, right? I mean, do prayers go up for the influencers that almost sank in a Lamborghini yacht? And I wonder if I had my rowboat, would the Coast Guard put airbags on it and try to save it if it was sinking? I don't know. Maybe it has to be a multi-million-dollar Lamborghini yacht for that to happen. But, I'm saying the people were laughing, but monkeys laugh when they're scared. Those people almost checked. You know what I'm saying? Titanic is absolutely correct. This is like a microcosm of the United States of America, which is a country similar to the Titanic. It's sinking and people are still playing, they still got their violins and the band still goes on as it sinks. So they can laugh and fool and all they want, but yeah, that Lamborghini yacht might be scrap at this point. Okay. But it's only gonna get worse. Believe that. All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, the tornadoes that went through the country from like Texas to it was a tornado in Pennsylvania, so everywhere in between. There's tornadoes all over the place. So since 2025 began, so-called, it's been 100 F2 tornadoes. Those are powerful tornadoes. The Most High is decimating this land. Now, what we're about to look at with Kentucky, with respect to Kentucky and respect to St. Louis, there weren't there might have been a few F2s, but I believe F4 is the one that did all the type of damage in these places. I remember last Wednesday, we talked about the black circle that was seen by Esau over Kansas. You know what I mean? And, I don't know, Kansas, Missouri, whatever, right? I don't know. I'm not a map maker, okay? But, Missouri got it. So Kansas had the circle, Missouri got the tornadoes. All right. Let's get Isaiah 30 and 30. Okay, Isaiah 30, verse 30. And the Lord shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and he shall show the lightning down of his arm with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstones. Yeah, that's exactly what happened in these states. Verse 31, for through the voice of the Lord shall the Assyrian be beaten down, which smote with a rod. And of course, the Edomites are in power. So at this point, at this time, you can label them the Assyrians, the Egyptians, because everything is in America, right? This is the last captivity. It's all here. You got your Sodom and Gomorrah, you got your Egypt, you got your Babylon, right? Got your Assyria. Now check this out. Oh, you know what? Salakia, that's not the right one. Let me flip the script real quick. Yeah, my bad. My apologies. Yes, this is the weather update. So we're going to talk about London, Kentucky. Remember the lights went out in London. The lights went out in London, England, and now in London, Kentucky, it's getting dark. Salakia, anybody that's watching on Clubhouse, if I could just give you a visual of what's going on. These houses look like matchsticks. There are no roofs. The roof is gone. Okay, in London, Kentucky. I'm gonna finish this out, but there will be, descriptions in the next video. My apologies. I thought this was one where they gave descriptions, but they are the next one.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear joins me now, and I'm really sorry you and your constituents are going through this again. Where do things stand, Governor? And is it possible the death toll could still grow?
It's tough. This was an F3 and maybe even an F4 tornado that hit Somerset, took one life, mainly hit a commercial area, and then tore through two subdivisions and the airport in London, Kentucky. Where it hit directly, there's nothing left of the homes but a 2-foot pile of rubble. We think we have our arms around the current death toll, which sits at 19. We still have 3 individuals in critical condition, and we are praying for their recovery. We have about 800 people we're sheltering right now. Thankfully, no more missing people. But there is a lot of work to do ahead. And if this wasn't bad enough, with all the weather disasters we've had, with 3 major weather disasters this year, we've got tough weather coming in tonight, and then a significant severe storm coming in tomorrow, and it's going to hit some of the same places.
Yeah, I'm wondering what your forecasters are telling you specifically, but also I've covered my share of tornadoes. I've never seen anything like the pictures I'm seeing out of your state right now. And and it sounds like a question maybe better left to a scientist, but what is going on, Governor?
Well, sadly, I have seen tornadoes like this. The ones in 2021 that ripped through Mayfield in my dad's hometown of Dawson Springs. We lost 81 in that one. This weather system just as traumatic for every family that lost an individual. But this is our 14th, I believe, federally declared weather disaster in the last 5.5 years. We keep getting hit over and over. And as much as we could get caught up in that, our job is to be there for our people. We already have recovery efforts underway. We've got both immediate housing and we've got some partnerships we're going to announce to help people get through the week. We've got a travel trailer program we're going to set up in a nearby park to help people really through the months and even the next year. We've got our groups on site right now surveying the damage so we can apply for a major disaster declaration from the president and hopefully get direct FEMA assistance to our people. You know, I can't tell you the why we keep getting hit over and over, but I can tell you we are strong people. We get up time and time again. And a big part of that is the rest of the world and especially the rest of the country shows up to help us out.
And I know you've been complimentary of that. You've been complimentary of FEMA. The fact also is that FEMA's programs built to help recover from damage, to help survivors, has been cut pretty significantly. How confident are you that the financial help you need will be there?
Well, I'm very concerned about the future of FEMA, very concerned about the future of the National Weather Service, which tells us about these in advance. But I do want to reiterate that our current reality is that the president has approved our requests from the last two major disaster declarations. And their FEMA operation on the ground is one of the best I've seen. And that's why I think it needs to continue. Now, they're doing a good job of helping people when they've been knocked down, and without the federal government in partnership with the state government, they're not going to be able to get back up at least as fast as we do. And if you think about these disasters happening more and more and more often, what could be a more sacred role for government than first protecting its people by letting them know when this is going to happen, and second, being there for them in the most difficult of days when they've lost everything, maybe even people they love, and saying, we are going to help you rebuild.
So let's talk about the speed of recovery, Governor. I know you have shared information about how people in Kentucky can apply for federal assistance, but our local TV affiliate there reports that weeks after April's major flooding, some communities are still waiting for the federal money to come to them. So do you have a sense of how long people might have to wait for relief from this disaster?
April's disaster and February's. We flooded massively in February and in April were really widespread, especially April hit the entire state. And so what we have to do is have enough damage in each county, not just that happened, but that we have documented to provide to the federal government. We've had 2 rounds come through and get approved. We have a 3rd round in there, and the federal government is taking a decent amount of time, but they are ultimately approving the requests with a couple of minor exceptions. This one is very localized. This one is primarily in about 4 to 5 counties with the massive damage in 2 to 3. So we've got more than 10 teams in one county alone doing the evaluation today. So we think that the initial applications can be in this week, but we're looking at a matter of weeks, we hope, before we can get a decision, and hopefully FEMA folks who are already on the ground. We just need to move them from a natural disaster 3 months ago to ultimately opening a recovery center for this one. That's how hard we've been hammered, but hopefully we can take the fact that we've got FEMA people on the ground right now and provide faster services for our people.
Well, we hope along with you for a fast recovery. And
So, okay. Also, the video I thought that had Salakia, it was talking about St. Louis and how the tornado, I think it was like F4, went 8 miles through the the city. You know what I'm saying? A lot of damage. You know what I mean? And went through. I seen a lot of Jake out there. You know what I mean? So that's one of those. Definitely time to repent. You know what I mean? You see things like that. Uh, these cities, how fluid it is, just murder and kill each other and all that. God's not with that, and that judgment comes. Ain't no stopping that tornado. You know what I mean? You could throw some bullets at it, or you can throw a brick at it. That brick is gonna go around that tornado and hit you right in the head. It's not safe to do the wrong thing nowadays. Repentance is very necessary. Let's continue on. Sister in Baltimore. So let's get Isaiah 32, verse 9. Sister in Baltimore got killed on her birthday and on Mother's Day. You know what I mean? That judgment came. You know what I'm talking about? Let's get Isaiah 32 and verse 9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, and the gathering shall not come. You know what I mean? You know, a nice looking sister there on Mother's Day, Most High. You know what I mean? It's a very dangerous time to not be an Israelite. You know what I mean? And it says, Israelites should be, the judgment begins at the house of God. We could be taken away. Just because somebody died doesn't mean they were just a terrible person. You know what I'm saying? The Most High could take you away for what's going to come in the future. But if you're not following these laws, statutes, commandments, that hope is dwindling at this point. Okay, let's watch this video.
Working to find those responsible for killing a 23-year-old mother on the morning of Mother's Day.
And WJZ live at Southwest Baltimore at 5:30 tonight. Stefan Dingle joining us now with what we're learning about yet another tragic shooting. Stefan.
Hey there, Rick. Good evening to you. And Nikki, good evening to you as well. That 23-year-old identified as Tanaya Gray. And not only was she a mother, she was celebrating her 23rd birthday yesterday, leaving her family in pain and her neighbors confused about this shooting that disrupted their otherwise quiet community.
It's unnormal for things like this to happen so close to where I live in. So
all was calm on Monday along Mountwood Road in Southwest Baltimore, where more than 24 hours prior, gunfire disrupted the otherwise quiet neighborhood.
Young lady I spotted, male in a dog SUV, possibly gray, took off towards Mountwood and Wildwood Parkway. 3 or 4 shots 5 minutes ago, female caller.
23-year-old Tanaya Gray was celebrating her birthday and Mother's Day the morning she was killed.
A woman I spoke to who lives in these apartments here says she heard the shots ring out, and when she looked out of her window, she noticed a car had crashed into the bumper of her parked car, with the victim still inside.
Police haven't given many details on what led up to the shooting that happened around the corner from where Tanaya Gray was found alone in the back.
That's not the type of picture everybody on Clubhouse. That's not the type of picture you want to have. You know what I mean? Your obituary. You always taking a picture, turn around, showing your backside. You know what I mean? And them 9-inch eyelashes. You know what I'm saying? And like a short skirt, that tells a story, That's, the sister passed away, you know what I mean? Not to talk about it, but we talking about the judgment, all right? That's why we talk about the wisdom, Sakya. The Wednesday wake-up call is to wake you up, you know what I mean? You got to get that type of spirit out. Like, hold on, I'm gonna take a picture on social media. Let me show my butt, my behind. You know what I mean? That's not the way to go, all right?
Found alone in the backseat of the white Acura.
We have a number 1 female victim. She's not responsive right now. Call the victim's name. White Acura GLS.
I have nephews and nieces that play outside willingly after school. So it's like, okay, now do I keep my babies in the house? Do I sit outside with them? Do I move? Should I wear cameras? Because it's unlikely for this to happen. This is a friendly neighborhood.
On Monday, detectives canvassed the scene and interviewed potential witnesses to piece together a motive as to why this young mother was shot and killed on her birthday.
Now, I did speak with several people in the neighborhood who did not want to talk to me on camera, and they do tell me that Tanaya Gray was the mother of a young daughter. If you know anything about what happened on Sunday morning, you're asked to call police or Metro.
All right. So that is wrapped out. Most High is wrapped out. You know what I mean? People are checking left and right. You know, people are checking left and right, and you know, why get vexed anymore? You know, why continue to go this route? You know, Most High gave us law, statutes, commandments. You know, shouldn't dress like a harlot. You know what I mean? That's that short skirt and turn around showing your backside. That tells the whole story. You know, you're like, oh man, that's my cousin right there. You know what I mean? Or you know, that's my niece. We have to talk. You know, that's why we go out there and try to aim to wake up our people. And if they won't hear, then the Most High don't have time for them. They won't make it. You know what I mean? But let's continue. Like I said, Most High is wrapped out. Let's get to the health section. All right, let's go to Sirach 30 and verse 14. You know what I mean? Because health is wealth. We gotta maintain a level of health. And it's, you know, it's the diabolical society. The food is poisoned, the air's poisoned, the water poisoned. You know what I mean? But we got to do the best we can to maintain a level of health where, you know, our body will fight for us. You know what I mean? You gotta have your body fighting for you, not against you. All right, so let's go to Sirach 30 and verse 14. Better is the poor being sound and strong of constitution than a rich man that is afflicted in his body. You know, verse 15, health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. So, you know, paraphrasing, health is wealth. And then scriptures say health is better than wealth. So let's do some benefits of something simple, like walking.
Let's talk about the benefits of walking. Now, that sounds like a real trivial topic, but there's some fascinating benefits that you may not have considered. Now, in the past, when I talk about walking, I primarily recommend walking for reducing stress because walking decreases cortisol, which can then decrease anxiety, depression. It can improve your sleep because it's a low stress, high oxygen activity. But there's many other benefits to walking that you may not know about. Number one, it increases the synovial fluid in your joints. It increases the body's natural opioids, which are the natural painkillers of the body. Walking helps reduce inflammation. It actually helps you lose weight after 30 minutes. In the first 30 minutes, you're going to burn off the sugar. Then you can start tapping into your fat. Walking can reduce your loss of bone as a normal part of aging. Walking strengthens your foot and ankle muscles, which stabilizes your hips, your back, and even your neck. Walking mobilizes the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system doesn't have a pump, so it relies on motion for its movement. Walking also improves lumbar muscle function to help so you don't get low back pain. When you walk, you actually lower your blood pressure, you increase oxygen to the brain, and on top of everything else, you'll help to remove the waste in your cells. So as a part of your workout, don't forget about walking because it might seem a little trivial, but it's vitally important.
Right on. Okay. Take a walk. You know what I mean? Move around. Depression can easily set in this diabolical society. So you feel yourself getting depressed, feel yourself getting down, ask yourself, when's the last time I took a walk? When's the last time I was in nature and seeing trees, was be able to breathe in some fresh air? Am I sitting in the house? Am I scrolling all day? Am I looking at other people's lives and thinking that could be me? You know what I mean? Take time out to put the phone away, take a walk, take a deep breath, take several deep breaths, you know what I mean? Sit by the water, sit by a lake, you know, if you have one in your neighborhood, or if you have to travel to get there, it's worth it. You know what I mean? Give your body a recharge, a reset, And it doesn't have to be just on the Sabbath. You know what I mean? You can recharge and reset every day. You know what I mean? Especially with all that's going on. You don't want to get overwhelmed and bogged down. You know what I mean? You start thinking about the past and thinking about, oh, the future looks grim, and you talk yourself out of the kingdom. You know what I mean? Don't do that. Talk yourself, put life into you. Talk life into you. Read the scriptures. Take your Bible to the park and read. Okay. Let's continue on. Now let's get to the sports and entertainment section. Let's get to Sirach chapter 19 and verse 2. One of the big headlines, Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez. Did Tory shoot her? Was she lying? Did she throw a bottle out on the ground and step on it in front of the police and there's a video on it? Now you have a congresswoman, I believe she's from Florida. I think Florida. That's putting it out there that Tory should be free. With the new evidence, he should be free. And if you haven't heard, Tory Lanez was stabbed 14 times in prison. Let's get that. Sirach chapter, and he knew she was a demon. And that's what happens. You're hanging out with a demon. She's taking pictures with a demon outfit on. She raps about the most harlot, whorish things she can think of. And that's not somebody you want to be around, because bad things happen. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 19 and verse 2. Wine and women will make men of understanding to fall away, and him that cleaveth to harlots will be impotent. Impudent, Slakia. Verse 3. Moths and worms shall have him to heritage, and a bold man shall be taken away. And at one point, Tory Lanez, you listen to his music, it's off. You know what I mean? He's not necessarily bringing people to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, but he did make a song called All Praise to the Most High, you know what I mean? Or called Most High. And he says all praise to the Most High. The lyrics, sketchy. But it seems like, obviously, with all praise to the Most High, who says that? You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. Do they say that in the Christian church? They say that in the Muslim mosque? No. It's Hebrew Israelites. So seemed like he was picking up on something, just not fast enough, and to make haste and to get away from Kylie Jenner and going to their parties in the Hollywood Hills, and everybody's drinking and allegedly having a good time. And look what happened. He started moving into the truth, possibly. Them demons like, nope, you're going to jail forever. Okay, let's watch that. Next video.
2022, singer, rapper Tory Lanez, convicted of shooting performer Megan Thee Stallion after a party at the Hollywood Hills home of Kylie Jenner. Here's the story. They're at the party. After the party, they get into an argument. Lanez tells Megan Thee Stallion, dance, and shoots at her feet like a cowboy movie, hits her. Proof? Testimony of Megan Thee Stallion, her friend Kelsey Harris, and DNA evidence on the weapon that convinced jurors to convict. Pretty simple, right? Maybe not. Turns out that DNA, only a 0.01% chance that the DNA is from Lanez. He's always maintained his innocence. He was sentenced to 10 years. So this is really about the testimony. Lanez, so what happens? So he goes away, recently stabbed 14 times in prison. Many say it was a hit, okay? Because new evidence is about to come out. All right, a little conspiratorial, but he was definitely stabbed. Lanez supporters believe that the media doesn't care because Megan Thee Stallion is represented by Jay-Z's Rock Nation. Now, I could give a damn about Jay-Z or his company. This just wasn't a case on my radar until now. Why? Anna Paulina Luna. She is a representative from Florida. You see her here on a regular basis. She says she's got new evidence, says it wasn't him. And she joins us now. Representative APL, it's good to have you.
Thanks, Chris. Happy to be back on. And thanks for taking a look at this case.
No, listen, you tell me to take a look at it, I'll look at it. But why did you look at it? I mean, this isn't your jurisdiction. I don't know you to have any connection to any of these people.
Yeah, so as you know, we are on oversight and accountability. And so this case was actually initially flagged for me by Amber Rose. And the reason why I took particular interest in it is because of the fact that they actually had evidence that they presented to me in my office that actually disproved the conviction. So as you stated earlier, that 0.01% of DNA, they actually found 4 people's DNA on that firearm, none of which was Tory's. Not to mention there was 0 fingerprints on the actual magazine. And also too, as you said, 0.01% chance. I mean, that evidence in itself should pretty much speak for itself. Also, there's been ring footage that's been obtained that actually disproves the whole dance, Megan. And so what we're saying is really there was a case of he said, she said. The evidence wasn't actually respected and properly adhered to actually in the trial. And then they also were doing something that I would find pretty wild and egregious. They're actually submitting his lyrics for rap as evidence to the crime. So look, first and foremost, you have to have a free and fair society. That means we need to respect and uphold the justice system. So I actually reached out today to Gavin Newsom's office, and we are requesting an emergency meeting. We're also working with other Democrats, specifically to the California delegation. But I think that this is something that's pretty egregious, that the way that this was handled, the way that it was. I think that it was largely driven by headlines. And aside from the people involved and the parties involved, obviously I take domestic violence, I take this very seriously, Chris, but I also take very seriously the fact that I do believe, based on the evidence that I've seen, that Tory's innocent. And I think that it's such a really bad message when you have someone of his stature, and also to someone that is as influential as he is, that's being wrongfully incarcerated. And that's exactly why we wanted to use our megaphone for a good reason and help get him his pardon, which I think he'll get.
So Luna, who did it? I mean, she says, and her friends say that he did it. And who else would have done it? And what proof do you have to support that? I get it. Maybe they didn't make the case the right way with the weapon, but who did it?
You know, Chris, that's not for me to weigh in, and that's definitely for the judge and the jury. But what I will tell you is, based on the evidence that we have, the evidence that we have says that he wasn't the guy. And so I do think that Gavin Newsom has some great attorneys that will look at this, but I'd also like to point out that the prosecutor specifically on this case that initially brought the charges is a very interesting prosecutor. Look into who ran him. And at the end of the day, you know, I think Hollywood, as you know, Chris, and politics does overlap, and there's a lot of interesting stuff that happened there. So look at the evidence for yourself. We've posted it for the entire world to see, to determine for themselves. And I know that Tory's legal team actually has an incredible case. And so we are calling on Gavin Newsom to issue that pardon immediately. And also remember, he was almost killed in jail. I actually talked to him today on the phone, and he said that once he does get out, once he does get this pardon, which I do feel confident that he'll be getting, he's going to work extensively in prison reform, because this should never happen to anyone.
Anna Paulina Luna, this is a really interesting one. I've never covered a situation like this before, but I appreciate you using your platform. And let the legal team know we'll be reaching out if they want to come on to make the case. I'm happy to hear it, and we'll check in with the governor's office as well. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. And Chris too, if you want, we can probably connect you with his dad as well. I think it's important for people to know all the facts.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I'll check in with you right after the show. Thank you very much.
Look at that. Amber Rose put it out there, and now she's listening. So how many other brothers are in jail right now, falsely accused because a woman said he did something? You know what I mean? We already know that Esau will throw you in jail in a heartbeat, you know, especially if you're starting to get wise, you know, he's starting to think outside the box, you know. But Megan Thee Stallion's a pawn. I seen her at a Planned Parenthood rally where she got an award, and she said, I'm going to use my platform to make sure that, you know, that women have access to as many abortions as they want. She didn't say abortions, but reproductive care. But Planned Parenthood is the place where you get your abortions. And she cared about reproductive care. She talks about her WAP and, you know what I mean, like whorish behavior. So, you know, hopefully the brother gets out and you know, recovers from his stab wounds, and maybe Megan Thee Stallion get thrown in jail, because if he wasn't the one that shot her, or if she just stepped on a piece of glass, then that's a lie, and that got that man locked up and almost killed. You know what I mean? But you know, let's continue on. Well, that's actually it. I will have a bonus video that, I mean, it's beautiful. As a matter of fact, no need to talk about it. Let's just watch it.
The Nottoway Plantation in White Castle has been declared a total loss after a massive fire yesterday afternoon. Officials are now working to clear the remains of the historic site. Jordan Ponzio joins us live in Naperville Parish as that cleanup continues.
Brittany, it's now been over 24 hours since that fire started, and the fire marshal's office is here currently investigating the cause of that fire that completely destroyed the Nottoway Plantation mansion. That fire started a little after 2 p.m. yesterday in the south wing of the mansion. 10 different fire departments responded to the fire. After the first couple of hours, it seemed that it was contained until high winds caused it to re-spark. I was out here this morning through around.
Most High said, no, we're not done yet. Let's keep the party going.
1 o'clock in the White Castle Fire Department were still dousing the structure with water as hot spots kept arising. I spoke with the parish president, Chris Daigle, today, who said the 166-year-old plantation did not stand a chance against this blaze.
An old facility like this is that old cypress material, right? It's what the installations are built out of. And once something like this gets going, it's really hard to stop.
Now, the cause of that fire is still under investigation. We will, of course, give you that update when we get it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to tell. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Call me a snitch. You know, you call me whatever you want, but we got to come to the bottom of this, okay? Because that plantation went up in smoke. You know, and they don't know who did it. Well, I'm gonna tell them who did it. Let's get Zechariah chapter 5, verse 1. Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it. And every one that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and in the house of him that swear falsely by my name. And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof, and the stones thereof, by Shema Mashiach Yahushai. And now people are putting up on Facebook, they're taking pictures of the plantations in their neighborhood saying, hey, I'm not saying anything. I'm just putting this picture up here. It's actually on this avenue right by this exit. And if you go to the back, like, you know, you go around to the side, there's no cameras. Like, they're just kind of, pushing it out there. You know, not saying anybody do anything, but if you do, I'm not going to be mad at you. So all types of things up on the internet. Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman sitting there dancing in front of the place. You got Jake having a barbecue outside. One brother's holding a chair, like the Montgomery, Alabama brawl. By Shema Mashiach Yahushai. All praise to the Most High. It's going down. Some people are in gross darkness, but you're not, because here you are on the class, listening, paying attention, and writing down your scriptures, hopefully. If you would, please give us a like, comment, and share. All right. Trying to get this algorithm moving in the right direction. All right. So all praise to the Most High. Keep going. Almost home, Israel. All right. You see it. You see what I see. So you already know what it is. All right. So let's we're gonna end on the Lord's Prayer. So if you want to stand and face the east, prostrate and face the east, however you want to pray, be my guest, and we'll close out. Kol Yashala. All right, this is the Lord's Prayer in Paleo Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Yah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malachbaka, Daba'ah, Ratazai Aya, Aisha, Baratazai, Kawa, Aya, Bashamayim, Natananawa, Lacham, Kau, Yawam, Wasalaf Nawa, Kabawaf Nawa, Kasalaf Nawa, Kabawaf Yanawa, Wala'a, Dabianawa, Banasai 1, Abo, Hawashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwaf, Wa'ala, Watapalaruf, Labalamyam, Aman. This book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Yeah, and hopefully it was edifying. Hope you learned a few things. You know, we are in the last days. Stay focused. Like I said at the beginning of this, in gross darkness, looks like the Most High has dusted off his feet and landed in Chicago, right in the Midwest, in the middle of the country. So, man, let's see what's gonna happen next. All right. Kom Yashala, we got next. Shalom. Khan. All praises. Shalom, Israel.